Hi everyone, and welcome to the Rachel Holmes podcast. And today I've got a really interesting guest. Well, all my guests are interesting, but this one is specifically interesting because I'm going to welcome Claire Barker-Hemings. Now, Claire and I met, I think, over 20 years ago. And if I look back on my Choreography to Go business, I think, Claire, you were one of the very early members. And I remember you vividly coming to events and workshops that we did. But Claire has now moved to Australia and she is a presenter in Australia. So I wanted to get her on the podcast to find out what she's been up to, what she's doing in Australia, the Aqua scene, because Claire is a top Aqua presenter in Australia, and just to see the differences between the UK fitness scene and the Australian fitness scene. So Claire Barker-Hemings, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on. It's really exciting because you said it's been so many years that I first came across you and Jane when I started in the fitness industry, and it was all exciting with all the master classes and high-low and step. And it's so funny that now I find myself in Australia because the other people we used to go to a lot with Marcus Irwin, Rebecca Small, and they all home from Australia.
Yeah, they did. So firstly, where were you based in the UK and what took you to Australia and what year did you go?
That's a really good question. So I was based in London, so on the outside of London, and I can't 100% say why we moved to Australia. It's just we had an opportunity insofar as we obtained a permanent visa. We applied for one and we got one. And in some respects, we almost thought it'd be good if they said we can't go, because then we tried to do something different.
Yeah.
And when we ended up with this piece of paper in our hand, then let's face it, a permanent visa, it doesn't come easily. We were lucky because we had relatives here. My husband had relatives here, and his job was on the jobs list. And we got the visa, and we just looked at each other. We said, we just need to do this, because if we don't, we'll probably regret it. So we left out. We sold our house. We packed our dog, our son. We came here with my work. And when I look back now, I kind of go, were we nuts?
Oh, amazing. What year was that?
2007.
But you'd got an established fitness business at that time, hadn't you? You were teaching classes, training clients. Tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you left for Australia.
So before I left, I was teaching group fitness, mainly a group fitness instructor. Hadn't really broken into the education scene at that stage, though I was edging towards that way. It was just a bizarre thing. I had lots of classes. I worked for David Lloyd, Cannons as they were back, all the different clubs, and it was great. It was really great, but it was just like there was this little burning desire in us to try something new.
Yeah.
And luckily, Australia does have a lot of fitness here, but it was really funny. When I first arrived, I thought it'd be step and high-low because of all the people that we had coming to the UK, and it was all Les Mills program.
Of course, that was right at the height of Les Mills, really, wasn't it? Les Mills was really on the up then. Yeah, so you got to Australia and it was the height of Les Mills was booming. So what did you do?
I taught body pump for my first 6 months. It was
did
body
you?
Pump, and then I got body combat. It was very funny because I came over in May 2007 before we moved to have a recce, and I met this gorgeous combat instructor called Scott. And we were just going, we're going to move, we're not going to move. And he said, you need to come here because we need body combat instructors. And that was my skills. So I moved over, not just because of that, but I said, okay, we can get some work here. And I'd done all the Pilates training in the UK as well. So I knew that they had, back then, they had reformer studios. They had all that going on we didn't have in the UK. But
yeah.
The first 6 months, I think it was just body pump and then Aqua. And body combat, and I think since I've lived here I've taught 1, maybe 2 step classes in the whole of since 2007, and that's okay. That's just the way so it's a bit different to I think what I expected it to be, but it was fun, and I picked up work. It's like anywhere you go, they need cover instructors, and even more so these days, and so I picked up work quite easily, which was cool.
God, where did you go? Where did you go first of all? Where did you go to live?
We just lived in We actually moved to the place we live in now. So we moved to a place called Beaumaris, which is on the outside of Melbourne. So we're 30 minutes from the CBD, and it's beautiful because I live 5 minutes from the beach. So the Australians call this the beach because it's Melbourne Bay, And if you
Yeah.
if you know Australia, the bay is more, it's sea for me, it's the beach, but it's not proper sea because it's a little bay, and then you've got the proper ocean on the outside. We do get a few sharks, though nothing bad.
Oh,
It's such a gorgeous place to live, and we just kind of landed here, and we both found work and got my son into a school, and we just started living.
oh wow, this is so interesting. So interesting. So what, did you start going to workshops and did you start making connections with the education scene? Because prior to that, when you were here, you were coming to our workshops, you were doing events, conventions, so you were really on board with continuing education.
They didn't have so much here, to be quite honest. They used to have a conference called Philex, so they
Yes, yeah.
Philex has changed a lot, so I didn't go to that one so much. I've done a lot of the Les Mills quarterlies, and I did actually fly over to New Zealand to take part with some of the filmings for Body Combat and Body
Oh
Pump
wow.
twice, it was like a pilgrimage, I think you could
Yeah.
say, Les Mills instructor, to be there, and that was good fun. So I went to a few of their events, but we didn't seem to have so many of the smaller events here. And then I can't remember when I got into more of the presenting side. It just kind of happened, and I think it was that my Aqua, it wasn't better or worse, it was just different to what they were having in Australia. So a few people said to me, it just feels so different, and I went, okay, and then I just started bringing people over from Europe to do workshops and set myself up and contacted, they call them a registered training organisation here, to do the nationally accredited training. So I hooked up with one of those people and I just started.
Fantastic. And is it like here? So do you travel to do educations around? Because travelling in the UK is one thing, but travelling around Australia is a whole different ball game. How does it work?
Well, we've gone online a lot. So the one good thing that came out of COVID, I guess, was everybody went online, and we were edging towards that way anyway, just because we have a small population in Australia. I think at the moment we're maybe 24 million people in the whole of Australia,
Right.
which is like the London population. I think it's, so we're a small population. So traveling isn't always financially viable, because you have to remember you're running a business. And I hate to say education, because we do it for passion and we do it because we love it. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't cost us money. But traveling, so Sydney is, if you drive, it's 10 hours. If you fly, it's an hour and a half. So you would fly, and then you go to Perth. I've gone to Perth a few times. Not very many people go to Perth. It's on the other side. It's 3 or 4 hours of flying time, and then there's a 3-hour time difference as well, 2 or 3 hours depending whether in summertime. So that makes it all interesting with the time zones. And Adelaide has got a half an hour time difference,
Right.
which always hurts my head. So I just, we do travel around, but we've worked out a way with the Aqua training. I've gone online, which I know it's not ideal, because it's really, and even on land-based stuff, it's really nice to be in the room with people so they can feel it, and they're feeling it. But we needed to come up with a way to reach people, because it's not a cheap process traveling.
Yeah.
So if you've got someone that's paying for their training and then they're paying to travel and stay, I mean, a flight from here to and return Melbourne to Sydney is $300 to $400. Overnight, you're looking at $200 to $300 maybe per night. It soon adds up for people. So I do some traveling because it's nice, but I've developed an online Aqua training course, which it's a work in progress. You know what it's like in education.
Yeah, I do. Do you film? Have you got a pool at home then? So can you film little clips in your pool?
I don't, but I've got some really lovely people I work for that I'm able to go and do some filming. So I've got lots of underwater footage.
Oh, fantastic.
So I go about once a week and I get in the pool and I get my camera underneath and I do lots of filming. And my friend and business partner, Dom, he runs a company called Aqua Fitness Online. So he also does a lot of underwater filming, and we've got lots of videos on there for people for Aqua Fitness.
This is fantastic, amazing. So do you still teach community type classes in the local area, or are you just specialising now in aqua education?
I know, I still teach. Last week I taught 23 sessions. I'm on about 22.
What do you teach now, Claire? Do you still teach Les Mills?
No, I don't teach Les Mills anymore, simply because I don't really have time. Aqua takes up a lot of the time, and putting education together takes up time. And I teach a lot of Aqua. After we came back from COVID, things changed a lot. Insofar as I slotted in because I was still doing some online training with people that weren't ready to go back to the studio. So I fitted my classes around. It just turned out that I ended up mainly teaching Aqua. I still teach former Pilates. So as I said, when I first arrived here, I saw the reformer classes, and there were 12, 20 beds in a room, and I was just mesmerised by it because we didn't have that in the UK in 2000. And we had Pilates studios on each corner. So I'd done a lot of training initially with Pilates. So I do still go and teach Pilates now. I've just been tonight. I teach with some osteopaths, a studio, which is really nice, small studio. And then I teach in the centres where we've got 20 odd beds, which is
wow. So that's just happening here in the UK now. I've just been at a fitness expo this yesterday in London, and there was so many reformer companies just popped up, all selling reformers at the show. It was just incredible. It's just taking off like this. But you can see on social media so many of the reformer accounts are all Australian based, and you can see they've been doing it a long time because they've got so much content on their pages because there's loads of studios there. So it looks like Australia was leading the way, and now the rest of the world are just flying.
It's still taken off big time here. So when I first started, there was only a few gyms. There was one gym that in particular that had the reformer beds, and the bigger gyms didn't at that stage. And then just like boutique studios. You can see my reformers behind me. I bought a reformer when I moved to Australia.
Yeah.
And that's Balanced Body, which I think that's from the States. They're so good. So yeah, there was the smaller thing, but now you've got the KX over here. I don't know if you've got KX or Simmer in the UK. Yeah,
they're there.
And now I don't know whether this has hit the UK yet. They've got one company that's doing a franchise where they've got all the content on video, and reformer bed to its own screen.
Yeah.
And it's a 24/7 reformer studio, and you just book your slot, and you go along, and you have your screen, and you have your bed. You put your headphones on, and you do that. So that's kind of kicking off a bit more here. And then you've got hybrids where they're doing. There's one I think that's got like reformers that are made into almost like rowing machines or something.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yes.
There's all kinds of stuff going on out. It's the wild west.
It is. Well, it definitely is. That's so interesting so no instructor, 24-hour, go and get your bed and then just watch a video of of a class, an instructor teaching.
Yeah.
Wild. That is wild.
Now gyms as well. I don't know how many of your gyms do virtual classes per se. So a lot of our gyms.
It's mixed, yeah.
Yeah, on the shoulder. It's only on the shoulder. Like the shoulder classes where you don't really want to pay for an instructor. So all the main timetable, they have an instructor there. And I actually think virtual isn't a bad thing because it's making it accessible for people, and they're only going to do it at home.
Yeah.
And even with reformer, we all get, this is just my own personal point of view, we all get a bit up in arms about, you have to have an instructor. But people go to the gym by themselves, and a lot of the gym equipment is far more dangerous than a reformer.
Agreed, yeah.
And when you have you read Joseph Pilates', was it not The Return to Life? There's another one. And he talks about how he had Joe's gym. And there's lots of stories about him. So what's true, what's not true, I don't know. But his whole thing was he wanted people to come and just do his exercises without a person like a PT. So I think it's horses for courses. And from my point of view, I just want people to move.
Yeah, agreed. It's a fascinating topic, and the fitness industry in the UK, as you probably know, because we're all so connected. Even though you're in Australia and I'm in, we still see each other and we see what people are doing. So you've got a good sort of handle on what other people are doing. But we're on this really interesting, I think, we've got GLP-1 medication that's just, incredible what's happening here with that. And the fitness industry don't seem to be getting their head around what's going on in front of them with GLP medication. I think we need to catch up fast with that. We've got corporate, we've got wellness. Wellness, corporate, they're not so interested in fitness, but they're interested in wellness. They want people to go in and talk about sleep, stress management, getting your steps in. So that's a massive avenue that's just sort of popping up. We've got reformer Pilates, we've got the classical Pilates people, the comprehensive people, we've got the fitness Pilates people, we've got reformer, you know, and it's like you say, it's very much, everyone's got different opinions, but the bottom line comes down to exactly what you said. We're trying to help more people move, and we're trying to get people fit and embrace group exercise and fall in love with group exercise, because it's amazing. We love it, we do it all the time. I don't know what the stats are like in Australia, but what's the sort of obesity and sedentary stats with Australia? But if you know, is it the same as the UK? Have they got a bigger penetration because it's a more outdoorsy lifestyle?
It's really funny when you look at Australia, you think everybody's fit and healthy.
Yeah.
And I think at one stage, some of the stats said that we were the second obese nation.
Wow.
So, you know, we have all these things, we have these views of what we think it is like, but I think realistically, the fitness industry is really good at targeting people that want to do fitness.
Yeah.
But they're not very good. We're not very good at getting people that move in that need to move. And
Yeah.
I think possibly why I like the Aqua stream, because people come there when they're there because they want to move for their everyday life. They're not there trying to, you know, get buff or get a six-pack or whatever connotations come up. And I like that, because they're there because I know they come in and they're keeping their everyday activities going, and they say to you, you know, if I didn't come here, I wouldn't be able to go and play with my grandchild, or I couldn't do that. And that for me is gold, because a lot of people can change their body shape just by going on computers these days, but to encourage someone to come and move their body and be comfortable moving their body and not feel judged is so important.
It is. And being part of a community, connection, so important, isn't it? That's, I think, as more people are doing things online, connection, getting people together. I really think there's a sort of a hybrid model for instructors, that they can teach their community classes. They have an online program of some description, whether it's seasonal, and they also run regular workshops, activation. So it could be silent disco, it might be an Aqua masterclass, it might be, they might do a sound bath, something that you can invite people to that will attract people that don't normally come to the class. People can, I think women especially, maybe midlife women and older, are looking for they're looking for experiences. We've moved away from sort of, you know, in the UK, not so many people drink, and pubs and restaurants. I think people are looking for more well-being experiences, and I think group exercise instructors are perfectly placed to create that. It's exciting times.
It is, I agree 100%, and the community aspect is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we lose sight of that. We get so into I see people, you know, work hard to do this, but they come in, especially, as I say, because the demographic I teach, they come in and they do like to have a chat. And some of them, you know, they haven't got a family at home, or their partner's passed away.
Yeah.
And that's the only outlet. And it's just so important. It's just so important. Secondary to, like, almost first in front of movement. Because if they're there, and I do get people say to me about some of the clients, I don't know why they bother come, all they do is chat.
Yeah.
They're actually moving a little bit more than they would if they were just sitting.
Yeah. 100%.
Loneliness is the worst thing in the world for people.
100%.
You know, so I that's why I think that's probably why I like the Aqua field more than anything else, because of the kind of people that I can connect with and help.
And there'll be lots of people that listen to this who teach Aqua, and I taught Aqua for donkey's years, and then in the end, I thought it's always the hardest class. It's the hardest class on you. It's hard for your voice, it's hard for your body, it's hard to keep the Aqua people interested. They're always the most vocal. They're always the group that complain the hardest if there's something that they don't like. But they are the most loyal groups. They come rain or shine. They come whatever. Give us your top tips on teaching Aqua. How to have longevity when teaching Aqua.
So the biggest thing I see with Aqua instructors, especially when they're brand new, is they try and do the whole class.
Yeah.
Because they're doing it like they're doing a land-based class.
Yeah.
I show 1, 2, 3, 4 of the exercises, and then I stand and I watch, and then I coach them. I use a chair. I don't jump around on the deck. I use a chair. It's just being sense about how you can demonstrate without really killing your body. Luckily, here I've got mics at all the places that I work. So I know in the UK, I don't know what it's like these days. When I was working back in the day, we didn't have mics at Aqua at all, but we have mics here, which saves your voice. But you need to be really good at visuals.
Yeah.
And really good at, the demonstration of your exercise and how to connect in that visual way. We've got something in Australia that I don't think it's anywhere else in the world, it's called an Aqua frame.
Okay.
And it looks a bit like, the way I can describe it looks a bit like a Zimmer frame.
Okay.
It's not got any wheels on it, and you use it to prop yourself up to do
something. Okay, yeah.
So it's quite a cool invention, but if you've got a chair, the chair is your best friend. And just doing less, because you need to look after your body. I've been teaching Aqua for probably over 20 years, 25 years.
Yeah.
And I've managed to look after my body. But I joke around with my students. I say I'm the laziest Aqua instructor you'll ever see teach. So, I'm not, but, I try to really impart to them that you don't need to be teaching it as if you're doing your body combat or if you're doing your step class, because you're not in the workout with them, you're a coach.
Yeah.
And it can be different. I know Aqua Zumbas taught quite differently. They do the whole workout, but that's a different animal. And it might depend on the type of class you're teaching.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it is exciting. Sort of fast forwarding back to the UK, the UK is going through quite a turbulent time politically, and we are, and the world, I suppose, and we are seeing more people looking to leave the UK. I've spoke to quite a few people that are looking at other options for lots of different reasons: lifestyle, schooling, tax, weather, just generally what's happening in the UK. And for you that jumped all the way across the world to Australia, I have no idea how hard that could be now. I don't know if it's even possible if people can relocate to Australia. I know there's certain countries in the world that they're more favourable. What would you recommend? What would you recommend that somebody that's perhaps thinking, I'm really interested in a new lifestyle? What would you suggest or recommend someone does, especially a fitness instructor, and this is their only skill? They're a group fitness qualified instructor. Is that a skill that's transferable, do you think, around the world potentially?
It is potentially transferable around the world. I know that, I believe there's something called REPS. Is it
yes.
REPS?
Yes.
Which is like the international body, so you can get your certification recognised. So that's the biggest hurdle, I think, when you go to a new country. Whether the jobs are on the jobs list, I don't know. And it might be that you need it, depending on your age. I'm not up to with all the visa classes, whether they could come over on a working visa and do a working holiday and then find work, but then it's finding out, are my certifications recognised? And it's really, when I first arrived here, and this is a long time ago now, the registration body here recognised my certifications because they're linked with the reps.
Okay, interesting.
But it was interesting, my Pilates certifications weren't really recognised, which I found fascinating. And all I had to do to teach was take a one-day Pilates mat course, and I could teach mat Pilates. It was all a bit confusing for me. I was like, well, I've done comprehensive training in the UK before I left, because I knew Pilates was big here. So I went to studio training, reformer training, and then eventually I done pole style when I was here, which is always good to do, continuing education. So I think it's more about working out. So wherever you are in the world, you are there as who you are as a person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're the same person. So it's working out whether you're running away from you or whether you are someone else. But it's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're going to bring a lot of stuff with you.
Yeah.
People, a lot of the time, the question people say to me is it better? I can't say whether it's better. It's different. And my husband and myself, we wanted to change something up. We had this opportunity with our visa, and we just went, you know what? Let's go for it. I love it here. I love what it's done for my son. I love what it's done for us as a family.
Yeah.
And I think it might be more to do with the fact that when you do such a big change,
Mm.
that you need to make some changes within yourself. So
Mm.
I can't say whether it's Australia per se. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. This is gold. Gold.
And it's kind of like, and you have to, because I remember my girlfriend said to me, it's just the same traffic, just at different road players. So just memorize that when you start again. And yeah, it's been an adventure. And there's some parts that are hard. So now that my parents are older,
Mm.
they're both, Dad's got Parkinson's, Mum's not great. That makes it challenging when you're this side of the
Far
world. And
away.
our in-laws, they're in the same situation. So that's quite hard. But I still wouldn't change it because of that, because of
Mm.
what we've learned, and whether it's because it's Australia or whether it's because we made such a big change,
Mm.
and we had to adapt ourselves and be willing to do lots of different things.
Mm.
And I still think of my son's first day at school, and we've just got one child, so he's here by himself. And some respects it broke my heart, because I was like, oh my God, what have we done?
Yeah, yeah.
Made him such a resilient young man, and he's got
Yeah.
such a big group of friends. It's just, we came over 10 years before we moved, and we decided that we'd quite like to try living here. We
Yeah.
didn't really have the opportunity to come over on a temporary visa with work. That's always a good way to find out
Yeah.
you're going to like somewhere. We visited in the May, and then we moved in the September, and we went, you know what, let's just do it, because you can always go back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
At the end of the day, you can always go back. Even though we'd sold everything, we actually shut the back door almost. We sold everything, just moved. But we could have gone back at any time if we felt the need to. But it's been a fun adventure, and it's been lovely working and seeing a different culture, though it's same but different.
Yeah, I think and I think at group fitness as well. I know when I had my son, and I was quite lonely at that time. I'd finished, I wasn't working. I was like, I was, and then going back to group exercise and going back into the health clubs, it's an instant friendship group, isn't it? You make friends. People in fitness and in fitness clubs, I find, are always very friendly and positive. So when you started working clubs, I would imagine that you'd made friends really quickly and easily, and people want to help you out, I think, and want to show you their culture and what's happening in the local area. Did you find that?
Yeah, it does happen to a certain extent, but also because you're now living here and not visiting.
Yeah.
What I found is people find little friendship groups as well.
Yeah.
So you were kind of a bit of an outsider, but we moved to a place where there was quite a lot of Brits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of Brits where we live, and there was 5 or 6 of us that all arrived at the same year.
Oh, wow!
So we made a friendship group from that point of view as well. But it was great going into the clubs, getting to know lots of people, but it was a struggle initially because I had no one to look after my son.
Yeah, of course.
I was out to work, and then so I was trying to work around him. So there's lots of logistics that we didn't maybe think about, maybe should have thought about. We didn't really think about until we got here. But as I say, it has been fun, and I wouldn't change anything for the world.
No, you did great. It's so exciting to listen to you. But if you had thought of all those things, it might have put you off. If you just thought, well, I've got no one to help my son, how am I going to work? You'd have perhaps think, oh, maybe we won't do it. That might have been another factor, wasn't it? So
yeah, I agree. And sometimes you just have to, like, I know, pull your big girl's pants.
Yeah.
Because people are, in fairness, people are willing to help, and there is a lot of work over here.
That's so interesting.
Group fitness. I mean, 23 sessions last week, 22 this week.
Yeah, plenty of work.
And I'm teaching at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I never teach that early. Just thinking, oh my God, because we haven't got instructors, because people have gone down sick. We're in winter, so we've got season happening, and we've got people sick. We've got people going, in hotter climates. But then we've also got, I don't know what it's like for instructors in the UK, but our instructor numbers are down considerably.
Yeah, massively here.
And we can't seem to replenish.
Yeah, it's the same.
All the people that were really into group fitness have kind of moved into different fields now.
Yeah.
And then the new people that are coming through, the new generation, it's trying to find a way to really not entice them, but find a way to get them excited like we were when we first started.
Yeah.
But it's a whole new ballgame now.
I don't know what the pay's like in Australia. You'll perhaps give us some ideas, but the pay in the UK has not gone up since way before even you left. So the cost of living has gone up hugely in the UK. And also because traffic, whereas back in the early 2000s, same as you, I would bob around to this club, that club, the other club. You couldn't do it now. You can't get, because the traffic is so busy everywhere. You couldn't do a 6 o'clock here and a 7:30 there, and that just doesn't exist anymore. It's just not possible to do that. And the clubs have just, the pay is completely stagnant. So, and there's more cost. Music is more expensive, insurance is more expensive, training is more expensive. So everything else has gone up, yet the pay stayed the same. So after the lockdown, exactly the same. People have thought, well, they've maybe picked up really nice. Where I live in Derby, you know, we've got Rolls-Royce, a big employer. We've got big employers here, Denby Pottery, you know, and they're always looking, you know, someone like a group fitness instructor that's great customer facing. You know, they've picked up great roles with great companies, so they've gone. We've lost a lot of people. Having said that, with the reformer boom, we're seeing a lot of instructors like you and I have been in the industry a long time that perhaps never had a studio but always wanted one, and now think, wow, this is my time. I've got all this knowledge, all this expertise. I trained in reformer. I've got this commercial space around, you know, that's perhaps I can get some, you know, some good rates and rent on. I'm going to go for it. So we're seeing people leaving, but we're also seeing people coming in. So there's opportunities in different areas now. But that old club model where you would go and teach in multiple clubs and you would make a good income from it, I think that's gone in the UK. What's it like in Australia?
It's not too bad here, I have to say. We get paid, depending who you work for. I think the base rate starts at $45, which is
wow.
$22.
Okay, yeah.
You can get up to $90, maybe more, depending where you're working. And I work with some really great clubs, and I get a pay raise most years.
That's great.
So after we came back from the lockdown, they didn't. I know in the UK, but a lot of clubs cut what they were paying.
Cut.
But not here. They've looked after us. And I say it does depend who you work for. It's not all even, and there's some stuff going on with sole traders, you know, like people that are self-employed. To do with super payments and pensions, and that's stuff that's going on at the moment. But largely, I think instructors get paid fairly well here per class. We've still got the model of I'll teach 3 classes in one place, 2 classes in one place. It's not too bad to drive around. And I think the way that I used to, when I first moved over, I used to fill my car up. But I know it's a really silly thing to do, to compare, but I just go, I can teach one class and I can fill my car up with petrol. And in 2007, I would be teaching 3 classes to fill the same car up with petrol. And that's how I kind of... How does it fit? I know it's not the only thing, but I think here we do get paid a bit more than the UK. Generally.
Interesting. So if anybody wants to reach out to you and ask about moving to Australia, Claire.
I'm not a specialist, but I can give you some pointers.
Then definitely. And do you ever come back? Do you come back to the UK to visit family?
Yes. I was back in February. I'm coming back in August. So August I'll be over. And I'll come back once or twice a year if I can, just at the moment because of the parents.
Oh, got it. Yeah, got it. Exciting. And how is the education going? Is it all going up? Have you got lots of business? Is it doing well? How is it?
Yeah, I do just Aqua at the moment, and you know, it's kind of goes in peaks and troughs. I think with Aqua training, as you identified earlier, is not as easy as people think.
Yeah.
When they first come in, they think it's going to be especially if they've been teaching other stuff, and they're always quite shocked about how challenging it is. And how much you have to know really to
to understand it. Understand the whole water dynamics. It's different.
It's so different. So, but it's ticking over, and I'm just in the middle of a rewrite. I mean, you work with your equivalent registered training organisations. You know what it's like. They've got the criteria. Have reviews and audits. So there's lots of stuff going on. So that keeps me kind of entertained and busy.
Yes.
All my teaching and stuff. But no, it's fun. But if anyone wants to reach out, you can find me on Instagram, Claire _Barker-Hemings, and you know, reach out on Instagram, or find me on Facebook.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Claire. Thank you for your time. We managed to make it happen. It's morning here, it's evening there, and it was lovely to hear from you when you messaged me. And as soon as I saw your name, I thought, oh, let's get Claire on. This is such a great topic. So yeah, thank you, Claire, and it's lovely to talk to you. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for doing this.
Absolutely.
Fabulous.